In 128 million households across America, everyone is asking the same things. What if I get sick? How do I get better? How is everyone else coping? What lies ahead? Tell Me Everything, a place where all of your questions can finally get some answers.
I don't know about you, Charlie, but we're about to go into a little bit of the woo-woo room and really get to know what integrative health is. Because if these two women, they really have it. I mean, they have the model of how they want to see people better and get people better.
This show started on the premise of collaborative healthcare,
Yes.
integrative healthcare. This is what it's all about. This is where it's all come. We've lived it. I've lived it for the past 3.5 years. You lived it for part of that time as well. And without it, we wouldn't be sitting here. So I am excited about having these guests today because I want to learn more. And hopefully our audience will learn more and realize that it's out there for everyone.
Fasten your seatbelt, dear.
I'm
Here
ready.
we go.
I'm ready.
I had no other person I'd rather have a heart-to-heart with than you. So what were we just saying? 15 years we know each other?
We've been having heart-to-hearts for a really
long time. You have taken care of this person's heart very, very well, I must say. You've extended my life in many, many ways. But you know what I feel now? I mean, thank God I feel healthy. Thank God for you, I bet 100 people more than I know feel healthy. But there's a heartbrokenness now, Suzanne, that I'm watching, that we used to talk about, the broken heart syndrome.
Yeah.
But it's the broken heart of us all about how we're seeing life, how we have to live it, all of it. But I know it's affecting people physically. What, in a general broad stroke, what are you seeing?
People were mentally prepared for a period of sort of lockdown. And what's interesting is from the beginning, when I started telemedicine and I was talking to people on a computer, it was so funny. Like their face would show up, mine would show up. We'd be like, hi, it worked. You know, there was such excitement and kind of this new thing we were doing. And that sort of got old after about a month, I would say. And I realized, I think it was about May, so about 2 months into it, that people weren't doing well. That all of a sudden, this isolation was really affecting them emotionally. It wasn't just, I'm not working, I don't have an income. It wasn't just the obvious. It was the intangible, which is we are all meant to somehow be together.
What kind of physical symptoms were people exhibiting, aside from what they already had or, you know, what they were trying to come to you for?
So there were extremes. Everyone became the extreme of themselves. So those that were sort of cheating on food started binging. Those that were drinking a little started drinking a lot. So blood pressures were going up, weights were going up, sugars, you know, just everything was getting crazy in terms of that. But here's the truth, and we've seen this over many years with so many different patients, the effects of stress. So take stress and put it on steroids, and that's what I started seeing. So it wasn't sleeping, overeating, undereating, like I say, over drinking, smoking. But from that moment where things sort of shifted, that this is a unique situation and now it's not fun anymore, was I have to open my office because people are not doing well.
What is it that you make the lilt? How do you get that lilt to come back up when the circumstances haven't changed a lot? A little they have, but not a lot.
It's all a comparison. So we went from telemedicine to sort of face-to-face, because we all have masks on, but we can still see each other's eyes, and we can still hear each other's voices. And I think that we are not normal, but we're better than we were. And that comparison is so interesting. What started happening as people were coming in here is that they didn't leave. And we have these beautiful chairs, and they would say, oh my gosh, this is my first time out of the house. Can I stay? And
Wow,
we
just a different surrounding also, right?
We made them tea, and we laughed. And I have to tell you, don't underestimate laughing, because just the release of seeing each other and thinking something was funny, and that natural laughter that happens between human beings, I mean, that's part of managing stress.
I have watched you in many iterations of your career. I have grabbed you and taken you with me with Events of the Heart, where we really got a chance. But I think what I want to ask you, since you're still in the thick of it and I don't do that anymore, how did the needle not move for women and heart? No, I know that I'm putting you on the spot, but I have that question every day. How did the needle not move this much on the way women don't say, this is my number one concern, my heart?
So you and I thought 15 years ago that we were going to explode this issue.
Oh, boy.
That everyone on the planet was going to talk about their hearts. That was it. And I think that we were really on the front of this movement. I mean, Pamela, what you did, what you created, what I got to be a part of, it was really just groundbreaking. But
you were a driver, not only a part of. You were a big driver.
I have a big mouth and a lot of opinions, so it was a perfect fit.
If you could be predictory now in a way that you could be wrong and right, and mostly right, how do you see the future of taking care of ourselves from the heart on in and out?
And what I'm going to say now, and we're always going to push the envelope, we are always going to bring the message in a different way. So here's my message now. What we learned from this pandemic: if you don't take care of yourself, you're in trouble. If you don't really have a healthy heart and a healthy body and a healthy mind, you're in trouble.
Amen.
The system is not designed or set up in the way it should be, and it needs to be for multiple different reasons. And if there is not a time that showed us the importance of wellness and overall health and well-being, it's right now.
If you didn't see it now, then you're never going to see it. I really believe that.
I think that's true. And so what I have said throughout this time, and what I've said to all my patients and speaking, COVID, for people who have heart issues or have risk factors of heart disease, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, elevated sugars, obesity, sedentary lifestyle, stress, all of those people do worse with COVID. And guess what? Every single one of them is in our own personal control. We can make those changes to get those risk factors in check. So the people that were not doing well, obese, hypertensive, diabetics, those are the people who really died and suffered the most. So now is the time that I'm going to tell you, I have been on this prevention bandwagon. I have been screaming this my entire career.
And I play a good banjo with you. Go ahead.
100%. But now I'm telling you, that's it. We're done talking about it.
The jig is up.
That's it. Like, what are you going to do? Because I'm going to tell you, now is the time. And that's it. And I'm done having the conversation.
You don't want to mess with Dr. Suzanne when she's in this.
Let me tell you something. And that's what I feel about this time. So moving forward,
yes,
I can speculate. I can sit here and get very serious and make up stories about
what
I
look at
think's
your
gonna
doctor
happen.
bag. Give me 3 things I could take or do that said, I can only start you with these 3 things, but I guarantee you these 3 things will start you to at least take care of yourself.
The most important thing you got to figure out is stress and how to manage it, because we don't honestly know how long this is going to go on.
It's the knockout punch, isn't it?
It's the stress factor is the killer right now. And every single solitary day, you have to figure out how you're going to manage your stress. And we can go through that list of things, whether it's meditation, yoga, breathing, I don't care what it is, but there has to be something that you do every single day to manage your stress.
Does a cocktail count?
A cocktail does not count for stress reduction.
Okay.
It counts for other things.
Okay, good.
But I think that's the most important.
Okay.
You know, and I was even saying to some of my patients, every night before you go to sleep, Write down 3 things you're grateful for. Have something that you can do that's a routine, a practice that actually makes you feel better. That's the first thing. The second thing, I have said this now for 20 years, exercise is the best medication.
Absolutely.
You got to exercise, and you have to put it in your calendar, in your schedule. It has to be part of your days, no matter what. Every single day, at least 30 minutes exercise.
For the brain alone, let alone the body. The brain.
For the brain alone, for the stress hormones, for the body, for the blood pressure, the cholesterol, the sugars, all of that. But mentally, physically, it is the most critical thing you can do. So that's 1 and 2. And the third, I have to tell you, is a routine and regular sleep cycle.
So on the deepest level of your feminine, of your doctor, which you come from a long lineage of, I know. 20 doctors in your family?
I think there's something.
Something like that?
Yeah.
This lineage of the feminine, of carrying the heart, which is a big, big banner to carry. Spiritually, what can we plant today, as we did 15 years ago on our journey into women's hearts? What can we say for that boost that's different than sleep, different than vitamins, different than food, that spiritual piece that they're going to understand?
I think we also need to think deeply about the one piece that has been missing, which is connection. Real connection to each other, to ourselves in our families, our communities, and the bigger world. Who we are in this world, what our purpose is, why are we here, what does it matter, what is our heart here for? And I believe that every single one of us is here for a purpose. I think if we look deep in our hearts, we'll know why we're here. And our connection to each other in the context of our purpose matters so deeply. And I will tell you that every day if you get up, you have your practice of meditation, you understand your purpose, you will get through the day in an easier way than if you have no understanding or context to what this is all about.
The older I get, the more I can hear. And what I know about you and I is I've heard you from my heart. I've heard you from your stethoscope. I've heard you from the hospital. I've heard everything you planted in me. And your level of care has really brought me a lot of vibrancy. Now you're in an integrative center, and I'm going to bring the woman who you foster all this wellness with out, because this is a new model of care. Doctors, yes, we can, labels, but this integrative way that we have to live this way because we're going to be taught this way in the future somewhere or another. We cannot do one-to-one anymore, one thing to do, one thing. And I feel it living in this space with you right now today, that you are home. And thank you for inviting me to your home. I love you always. So tell me everything today. I have Mollie Sasson, and Mollie has moved my muscles a bit, and she's good at it, man. And I know that building strength and moving is a #1 cure. So Mollie, tell us everything.
Well, first and foremost, thank you for having me today. Let's see, I just celebrated my 22nd year anniversary of teaching fitness. I like to say movement, that I am a movement specialist because I teach people how to move.
And why do you have that passion? Because you are one of the most passionate trainers I have ever been around.
Thank you. I love fitness. I always have. As a little girl growing up in Brooklyn, all boy cousins, 2 brothers, and very little females. So I was part of the gang.
Tomboy.
Tomboy, big time tomboy. I tried every sport, baseball, until I found aerobics.
And what did it do for you? What happened? What did you see happen?
It opened up my whole world. I was on such a high mentally. I loved it.
So you challenge people all the time. And basically, when you see people, I mean, we all know movement now for Alzheimer's. They say the #1 thing for the brain, movement. #1 thing for weight, movement. #1 thing for cardiovascular, movement. So it is really like the #1 but yet begrudgingly some people you have to pull.
Yes.
How do you, besides intimidation, how do you get them there besides the bikini body?
My first client who asked me to just come to our house, pick her up, and take her walking around the lake 3 times a week. And I was very surprised in the beginning, saying, "What do you need me to do that for? I don't understand." She said, "If you don't come to my house, I am not going to go out walking." So I helped her tremendously. 3 times a week. We started out just walking. Then after that, we decided to go into her home gym and lift weights. After that, she has a pool. We did some pool fitness classes. And she ended up loving fitness. And it helped her not only shed pounds, it built up her self-esteem. It lowered her blood pressure. It made her healthy. It made her more conscious. It built up her self-confidence.
Is there always a success story when people come in to move for movement? Because I find movement
No.
really amazing, but I also find people have a point where they stop. They just don't do it again.
That is true, yes. On my business card, it says my mission, like I said, is to take the passion I have for fitness and to bring it out in you, okay? It doesn't always happen that way, unfortunately. However, I would say about 9 out of 10, it does.
Wow.
Because I find something that that person could connect with.
So now COVID comes. No one can be with Mollie. Everybody's suffering. They're suffering anyway, but now we can't work it out. We can't punch it out. We can't Pilates it out. What happened? How are they getting better? I'm sure people put on weight. I'm sure depression set in from no movement and isolation. What'd you do?
Basically pivoted, shifted, learned so much. I looked at it as a silver lining for me to do things that I was never able to do in a long time. Example, there was a fitness mentoring program. I signed up for it. Every day there was a homework assignment. Mental challenges, physical, financial information, how to work all the technology. I didn't know how to do Instagram Live. Thank goodness my son Joey was living with me, because every day I'm like, "Honey, how do I turn this on? How do I program that? How do I do this? How do I do that?" To the point where I write everything down. What I did was I went to my home gym. I was downstairs from 9 to 12 as if I was training a client.
Wow.
I woke up at the same time I always do, which is like 5:30 in the morning. I refused to give up my routine because that was my purpose. I worked out. I went online, and I have a whole bunch of fitness, international fitness presenters that I follow, that I followed each and every one of them and learned and took a piece from every one of them.
Wow, bravo to you. What about your clients now? How did they
My
suffer?
clients, what I did was I touched base with them just to check in. How are you? That was my main concern. How are you? How are you feeling? How's your family feeling? That to me is most important, is their health and how they're doing mentally, emotionally, physically.
Was it a floodgate, or were people happy to stop exercising and that was the excuse?
It was a little bit of both. I had some people that told me, "Mollie, I have not worked out in 3 months. I have not done, and I haven't lifted a weight. I haven't done anything."
What was the backlash from not working out from the clients you had forever? Did you know their backlash?
Some of them are still not back. They don't feel comfortable coming back. Also, their children are home, so it makes it a little bit more difficult.
And body-wise?
Body-wise, they gain
mental-wise?
weight, they're sluggish, they're not feeling well. I always say sitting is the new smoking.
Yes.
And it is. You have to keep moving.
If I said, I'm not doing anything, and you said, just do one thing, Pamela, just do one thing, what would you tell me to do?
What I would tell you to do, I would say, what do you enjoy doing the most?
Bike riding,
Get
swimming.
on your bike or go in the pool. 20 minutes. That's it. 10 minutes one way, 10 minutes the other way. If you're on your bike, swim laps. As many laps as you feel comfortable going for. Just to get into the habit of acclimating yourself back to the pool, back on the bicycle.
Now I have millions of viewers, please, watching this. They're home. They're on their couch. They're not going back to the gym. They're not comfortable. They don't know how to self-motivate. Do you have one self-motive? What will be their prize if they really just start doing something for themselves with movement?
The best prize in the world is to feel good inside. It builds you up in
I'll take
every
it, Mollie.
way.
That
It
is the
builds you
prize.
up.
You are a real prize to anybody that knows you. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, integrative health. I have so many people watching, maybe millions, and they want to know what that is. But first, you ladies, you women, you goddesses have to tell me everything. How, what, where this came to be. Because I feel like I'm in a very sacred space here.
You are.
Of what is about to happen, I don't know. But I'm game. But all those watching that say, what is integrative? What is this? This is the future for me. I've known medicine all my life, unfortunately, through my body, through my mind, through people I know. But this feels like a new model. Ladies, tell me everything. Juhi, introduce yourself, and then tell me about you two.
Sure. So my name is Juhi Singh, and I worked with Dr. Ash at his center 10 years ago. My mentor, my second father. And when he passed away, I felt the responsibility, because he had no kids, to carry his name on, which is why we had
How
renamed
beautiful.
the center, keeping his name in it. And what I had wanted to do with Dr. Ash back then was to create this synergistic approach of Eastern and Western medicine. And I've always said, you are more powerful together than either are individually, because there are things that we can do in Eastern medicine that we sometimes can't do in traditional medicine. And I always said you cannot, and I will never disparage Western medicine. It has saved my life. It saves many lives.
My life too.
That said, when you have two practitioners or many practitioners that are of an understanding or a mindset that 1 + 1 can equal 15 or 12, I mean, what do you really have to lose at that point, right? So I like to call Dr. Steinbaum and myself two needles in a haystack.
I couldn't agree more. And that haystack being
It's a big haystack.
abundance of health.
It's a lot of
Yeah,
hay.
a lot of hay.
There's a lot of hay there.
There's a lot of hay.
But you have two practitioners that not only really, truly, genuinely care about the health and well-being and stress management and all of these peripheral things that most people don't often pay enough attention to. And we figured out a great system and how to combine so that we can decrease stress and we can decrease inflammation and we can preventatively look at things that could happen down the road and prevent them right now, which is the most important thing. Because we can always fix it when it's broken, but why do you want to wait for it to break? Fix it now.
So you have this beautiful approach, and people hear it, don't understand it. So how does that work? So I come to you.
Let me tell you from my perspective a little.
Yeah, please. Please.
Okay, you want me to tell you everything? Here's the deal. You know, I spent a career in traditional institutions, in the hospital systems, and really have been taking care of people with the treatment paradigm. You're sick, here's your medication, and we're going to follow up, right? And it was about 2008 when really
Exactly.
stock market started not doing so great and people really started reacting physically. And you started seeing that huge connection between the mind and the heart and the blood pressures and all of these other things, palpitations, chest pain. We talk about stress and the connection. There was a lot of physical stuff going on. And at some point I realized, what am I going to do? Keep giving drugs? A drug for the blood pressure, one to sleep, one,
A stent.
whatever. And that didn't seem right to me because I was not addressing the underlying problem. How do you address the underlying issue? And for my entire career, it never made sense to me to put in a stent, which was just a Band-Aid. It wasn't fixing the big problem, which was systemic. And so I really have always felt that integration, integrative health, integrative care is not this weird, wacky alternative.
Right, it's not woo-woo at all.
It's not a woo-woo thing. It's a how do you take a whole being and take care of them? Mind, body,
And
spirit, soul,
Absolutely.
life, family, the whole picture. Because otherwise, you're just treating. It's just constantly a Band-Aid. And in that vision, I couldn't quite figure it out.
You manifested her.
I every day I was like, it has to happen, because it wasn't happening in the hospital system. And I knew Dr. Ash.
Oh God,
gosh, we
did I not
spent
love him?
time
We loved
together.
him.
Yeah.
Loved this man. He treated me the things that every doctor wanted to cut, do that, and he said, no, not going to happen. Took me in that room, did something, always, always better. The supplements, the way he did it, it was his manner, because he believed what he did, the way he did it, and he took nothing else.
And he cared.
That's right. He didn't take it in. He said, not for me. And I believed him. And you believed him. And you believed him because he was it.
I think he was super
Richard,
comprehensive.
we're talking about you.
He knows.
I know, he knows it. I can feel him right now smiling.
You know, he was very smart
Yes.
and very willing to be challenged.
Mhm.
And I remember saying to him one day, I don't understand one thing you're doing. I don't get it. And
He was
said,
very unassuming, too, in the way but he healed you.
and he'd say,
That was a real
let me
thing.
explain a little bit. But I haven't changed my practice at all, because I don't have to. I have Juhi. So
Which is what I want to know.
Yes,
so
so
how does
that's-
this go together? Now, your practice here is...
Let me give you a little background on why I'm doing what I'm doing. Knowing that I can't do everything on my own, now I have a partner to be able to refer,
But it actually changed
Had to do with the heart?
Well,
I mean, it just changed
course.
everything.
I'm home in my house. What can I do alone to uplift my spirit without praying, meditating, eating right? I don't want to eat, a salad again. I want something that can move their soul.
So right now, this is a great time to exercise that motto, and also enjoy what is around you. God, I can't even
Now
remember.
that's a good one.
I mean, I've been working for a good 15 years, and I have a small child. I ask my patients all the time, what makes you happy? And I can't tell you how many times people struggle to give me an answer. And that in and of itself is very sad.
Wow,
Weeks
God bless.
to treat handicapped orphans, but find your people. And it's always very interesting. In times of stress and distress, you really truly find your people.
My name is Tony Leroy. I'm an intuitive counselor. I've been doing this. Someone asked me the other day, and so I've been basically doing this since, I was 20. I was born with disability. I'm incredibly empathic. That, I see things in a certain way, and a lot of people see it in a different way.